Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Grok Build Something Beta. Um, it's been a bit since I've been making these, but I'm back on it now, and we're going to take a look at continuing on our snake game. So I think we're on a pretty later, we're in a much later version now, 0.2, 0.8 something. There's a lot more in the harness now that wasn't there last time we did things, and we'll slowly get there. But the main focus of what we're doing here is still making our game. One of the things to know is that the composer, I can't remember if the last video was there or not, but the composer model is in the new Grok build harness, but we're going to continue to use the Grok build model for now until we go out of our way to explore that model. So without further ado, we're going to continue working on this snake game. And right now, what we have is a dedicated canvas that is forced to be a certain size, scaled to fit the screen. I can zoom in on it, zoom out. I can, I forget how to, never mind, but I can resize as need be. We've got anchored text description areas and anchored, I don't know what you'd call it, but just anchored borders around that game. So if you remember in our earlier versions when it was just based on a one-shot prompt, the score would run far off to the side of the game. And we don't obviously want that. We want things anchored nicely. And so we've got areas for that now. And now we need our snake to move. And the way I want to base the movement of the logic of my snake moving is I want it all to come down to one number. So I'm going to send this prompt and then talk about this prompt when I do. So as Grok build works, what I want to do is I want to define the speed of my snake based on one number, one variable, moving from that is a timed variable, which specifies, or the variable is a timing number, which defines the time it takes to move from the left of the board to the right. And that'll be what our speed of our snake will be based on. So that is going to be a left to right on this 32 by 24 board. And our default we're going to start with is 5 seconds. And so the whole point of doing this, there's kind of two reasons I want to do it this way. And I don't know if this would be this is necessarily the right game development way. I'm sure there's thousands of answers. But if I just told Grok to let the snake move, then it would pick some arbitrary number. I don't even know what it would base it off of. It would be different every single time he did it, so it wouldn't really matter if I demoed it here, because the next time it wouldn't be the same. But I want to be in control still. And so the way for me to stay in control is to understand how we exactly do movement, and then if I ever want to do power-ups from there, I can simply understand the base, right? So the base is it moves from left to right on the canvas in a certain amount of time. And if I want to speed that up, maybe I want to say we have multiple power boosts and one speeds us up to move, an 80% reduction, 20% reduction, yada, yada, yada. But I understand what the base of it is. And if I need to tune it, it's a very easy thing to tune. So now we should have movement. And there we are. We have movement. The arrows don't necessarily work right now, but that's okay. And yep, it said we needed to add arrows for sure. But yes, so it gives us this one variable, traverse time in milliseconds, 5,000. And as you can see, we can move. Now I want keyboard input, so yes, let's add keyboard input for both arrows. And why not ASPW? What AW? I think that's the term. But the letter keys, so I can control it both by arrows or by WASD. That's what it is. There we go. For control. So now we can actually move our snake around. And as you can see, we have our snake moving. Now, how do I know this is 5 seconds, right? Because there's one thing, for something as simple as this, I would hope that a billions of parameter model can understand it. But if we are making a much more complicated game, we may want the ability to measure it, right? And this is kind of something, as I've worked with these AIs more, I've kind of settled on 2 forms of validation. One is you actually read the code, see if those work. That's the arrow keys, and that's the WASD. So those work as well, so that's good. So now I'm going to work on a form of validation. I'm going to finish my thought on that. Bottom right, I can verify the time is right. So what I'm asking Grok Build to do here is what I would consider one form of validation with AI harnesses, and that is performance-based evaluation. So the idea is, I'm not going to review the code. I just want to make sure that the thing you're spitting out, the product you're spitting out, conforms to the performance I can measure. And ideally, I'd be measuring it with a stopwatch on my phone, and I may as well do that here. I can't necessarily show it to you. I could use a computer stopwatch to show it to you, but it's gonna take me a minute to actually what is that? Okay, there we go. To actually move over and click it. So I don't really want to hook up a sync between me hitting an arrow key and that timer going off right now. I could, but I don't want to. So we're just going to do a primitive on my phone that I won't be able to show you. But it did reach there in 5 seconds on my phone. And you can probably time that out from the YouTube video if you don't believe me. Or if you don't believe Grok's validation harness it's showing me. But proof-driven development. And this is maybe a less secure way to do it. It's maybe a more game way to do it. But, hold on here. There it is. There's the button. So there it is, validating left to right. It's running. And 5,000 milliseconds. So that's 5 seconds. Go ahead. So we validated the number. We validated the it's close to the target. You see we're off by 9 milliseconds. That's probably just a precision rounding thing. Not a big deal for a game like this. It's not like, if we were running a very precise measurement over the course of millions of miles, then that error starts to matter, and we need more precision in our software. But for a game like Snake, you're not really going to notice it. So that's actually solid resource management by Grok Build there, to not over engineer it necessarily, because we definitely could have engineered. Maybe if we're sticklers, we'll maybe go back later and engineer it. But for now, we have a nice little harness, and I want that gone hopefully here soon. But so now we have movement, and one thing I think you'll notice is it's pretty snappy is not the right word, because snappy is positive. It's choppy. That's what I'm looking for. Our snake is very choppy because we don't have any animation smoothening between each step of the snake. So it's just literally draw box here, next interval, draw box in the next grid, and that's going to give us choppy movement. What are we doing here? It misunderstood me saying pull it out. I just wanted it removed. Oh, no, 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 no. Are you pulling? What are we doing here? I just wanted the timing validation. So this is, I think, I've struggled a little bit with Grok build understanding me. It seems to, and this is actually something when you use the Grok models on the internet, on their grok.com, they're not awesome at reading your mind. I think the Claude models and Codex, but not as much, but mostly definitely the Claude models, they do a much better job of the validate. So, the Claude models, I think, do a better job of interpreting your prompt and understanding, well, this is probably what you want, which is a double-edged sword because now it's making opinions. I think the Grok model kind of tries to be as, I don't know the word to use, but as literal as possible, which means you got to be careful with prompting, right? And it'll take it in different directions. It's not as great at reading context cues necessarily, but we got there now. So just need to be more specific in our prompts, which is great when you're trying to make videos and you don't have time to think about your prompts as much, but that's okay. So we have that. Now I want to smoothen the animation based on that interval. Well, so we'll get Grok working on that, but I want to fix this choppy motion right now, and I want it to be based on that speed, and that is important because I don't want it to hard code an animation, a smoothening logic that is only based on that 5 seconds. I want it to scale so that if I slow the snake down, the smoothening operation will also slow down, right? I guess while we wait for Grok build to do this, we just did performance validation. The other one would be reading the code and understanding the logic, obviously. Manual code review, which is still important and probably still should be done, especially when you move towards more enterprise-based systems. You probably should be doing both of them with those. So it all kind of depends on what you're working on. And if you're working on something that's so low stakes that, you know, you don't really need heavy review and it's just there to kind of do something fun, then just let the model do its thing and just make sure it achieves what you need, right? And, you know, you don't need pristine code for a local snake game. You know, like we accepted that it's not exactly 5 seconds left to right. If I was releasing this as a game in like a competition or something, you bet I would make sure that that is perfect. But we're not. And we're mostly just playing this for my benefit and for the benefit of the YouTube series. And so, see how the animation is going. Well, there we go. So it didn't have the start in yet. But as you can see now, we have a much smoother animation. Which this is now a good looking snake that can slither around, right? So we now have movement, it's responsive. I can use multiple keys to turn it and to do things with it. And the key part about how we did our movement is that I understand how it works. I understand what the speed is calculated based on. The animation I don't understand, and quite frankly, I don't really care. Some people would probably care a lot, and I can, you know, I can read through this if I really want to. looks like a loop, and then it renders at a frame rate. Interpolation, I've heard that word before. But I don't care to understand the animation, but I do care to understand the game logic. And now I know that the game logic is from left to right, 32 spaces. It's going to take me a defined interval seconds, and we have that set to 5. And the rest of movement mechanics on my side will be based on that. And so now we have a moving snake. And we're getting closer and closer to a real game. And a game that has a good surface and a good backing underneath it, instead of just running as a vibe coded slot. So thank you for watching this episode, and in the next one we're going to continue moving along to make this more and more like Snake.